Good morning, 8th grade. Alright guys, today we're going to be talking about the outer planets. So last time we talked about the inner planets, and so what better place to go than the outer planets? So let's just go right into this right here. And so, you guys know a lot about the outer planets. A lot of you guys did them for your video project. Now, the outer planets are actually given a different name, and I'll give 10 bonus points to anybody who can say it before I can. Can't hear you. You don't get them. Anyway, they are known as the gas giants. And so that's right. All four of these guys here are known as the gas giants. And why would they be called the gas giants? Well, it's because they are believed to have solid cores with thick atmospheres. And so the solid cores tend to be very small in comparison to their giant atmospheres, and because there's so many gases on these planets, we call them the gas giants because they're mostly made out of gas. Now we have four of them as we see them here. We're going to talk about them in order, so just make sure you are aware of that. Hopefully you guys should already know the order of the planets after I gave you the project to draw, and once again, great drawings for a lot of you guys there. Appreciate them. We're going to get into Jupiter. So, Jupiter, as hopefully you know at this point, is the fifth planet from the Sun. And Jupiter is one of those that is very, very interesting. And of course, they're all interesting. They're giant planets just floating around in our solar system. From there, Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. So, Jupiter is huge, absolutely massive, and just a marvel of God's handiwork. Really good to see there. From here also it says Jupiter is the second brightest planet and is also named after the king of the Roman gods, which makes sense because he is the largest. And so of course you would think that the biggest would be the king. And so Jupiter, once again, king of the Roman gods. From there we see that Jupiter has the fastest rotation. Even though it's the biggest and largest planet of them all, it has the fastest rotation of any planet. So that's very good to know. Now, notice this giant red spot right here. We're going to talk about that in a couple seconds. Now, along with Jupiter, Jupiter's surface often has different storms going on. So when you look at Jupiter, go back to it real quick, you can see all different swirls and things like that. And those are all different storms going on the planet right now. The largest storm is known as the Great Red Spot, which is longer than 3 Earths. So if you take Earth and you had to put it next to itself and then put it next to itself again, you would still probably not be as large as the Great Red Spot. That's just how massive this planet is. Really makes you stop and think about it for a second. Now, Galileo, being the bright scientist that he was, observed 4 of the moons which go around Jupiter. And those 4 moons are given a special name. They were called Galilean satellites. Galilean after, of course, himself, Galileo. And those 4 moons are very, very important. And we did a lot of studying on them. But the most important of all is one named Ganymede. Now, we know now that there are over 60 different moons orbiting around Jupiter. So, Ganymede is the most special because it's the largest moon in our solar system. It's even larger than the planet Mercury. And so this moon is huge. You wouldn't even think about calling it a moon in many cases. You'd probably call it, basically its own planet at that point. But it is orbiting around not the sun, but Jupiter, which is why they call it the moon in that sense. It's a moon. Now we get on to another planet, which is Saturn. Now you guys can see here a beautiful picture of Saturn in the background. Saturn is the 6th planet from the sun and about 10 times bigger than Earth. And so, to put that into perspective there, it's pretty crazy to think about. takes a person his entire lifetime usually to really go around and understand just the country that he's born in, especially if you live in some place like America. To imagine a place that's 10 times bigger than not just America, but the entire earth is just insane. Having to discover things on it and things like that would just be incredible. But Saturn, sadly, is mainly composed of gases, but then again, also has that solid core that we talked about. And so, there wouldn't be a lot of... It'd be very difficult for us to explore Saturn. It's not a planet like Mars, where we could feasibly land on it and actually explore it ourselves. Saturn would be very, very difficult. Saturn is mainly known for its beautiful rings, which are mostly made of ice and rock debris. And so those rings around Saturn, which are so very famous, are mostly just ice and rocks that give off this beautiful ring effect. And they are orbiting around Saturn, which is why it looks so cool. Saturn's moon, Titan, is the only moon to have its own atmosphere that we have discovered so far. And so Titan is really important for that reason when we talk about Saturn. There have even been talks about possibly one day, if Mars doesn't work out, if we develop the technology well enough, could we possibly live on Titan? Well, I believe the answer is no, at least for my lifetime, but who knows, maybe one of you guys will figure it out, and that'd be really awesome. Now from here, we're going to talk about Uranus. Now, Uranus is a very special planet for a lot of different reasons. Now, this is not an actual picture of Uranus here, this is an artist rendition of it, but Uranus was discovered in 1781, which is a lot later than the other planets, and is named for the Greek god of the sky, Uranus. And so that's why when you pronounce it Uranus, because it's named after the Greek god Uranus, which has basically the same name sound to it. Now, Uranus is tilted at a 98-degree angle, which is why this artist put it the way that it is. It is on its side almost, and it's a really interesting thing to know about Uranus there. Uranus is known for having very strong winds on the planet as well. There are some winds on the planet that can actually circumnavigate the entire planet in just about 14 minutes, which is insanely fast. Back in the day, it was almost impossible to think of circumnavigating our planet in 80 days. But now, we discover that there are winds on Uranus that can circumnavigate the whole planet in only 14 minutes. That's incredible. From there we have Neptune. Now, we are at the point where Neptune is our final planet we're going to talk about. And Neptune is the only planet to be discovered mathematically. So what they did in this sense was they were looking at the orbits, and they discovered that there has to be another planet out there based on the way the other planets moved and other heavenly bodies. And sure enough, they found it, and its name is Neptune. Now, Neptune is the name of the god of the sea. If you were a Roman, of course. And these Romans are very, very... it's basically become pop knowledge since the SpongeBob show. If you ever watched SpongeBob before, King Neptune, and he's got a trident. And it's kind of funny because Neptune's largest moon is actually named Triton. And it's very similar to the name of that weapon. If it's not the name of that weapon, I might be getting it wrong. Don't quite remember. But Neptune has its Triton, and that's pretty cool. And it has that beautiful blue color, and that's why they named it Neptune, because of the ocean-like blue that it has there. That's the end of our slideshow for today. Hope you guys had a good time. Make sure to write those notes down, and I think I have an assignment waiting for you on Google Classroom. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you and goodbye.